All right, I'm going to go ahead and work the first problem out. Now, in order to do that, I have to first simplify this product by using my distributive property. So let me go ahead and take a moment to do that while you do that on the side as well and check your work. We're going to simplify terms by moving all my variables to one side, usually the left side, and then we're going to move as many numbers as I can to the other side, usually my right-hand side. Now let's go ahead and do that real quick. So now I have a simple one variable equation, 6b equals -12. Now I want to go ahead and solve this equation so I can get the solution set. So after we solve it, we want to go ahead and express the solution set, which in this case is -2. That means that -2 is the only possible value that you can substitute this variable b for and still make the equation true. Once you've checked your answer, you know that this is absolutely true, and you can go ahead and write your solution set in the 3 different ways that you can express it. So first, we're going to graph a -2, and that would simply be a number line, graph it, and then we're going to express our solution set in words, and then we go ahead and write it as a set notation. Now let's go ahead and try to work the third problem here. So step number 1, move all your variables to one side, and step number 2, move your numbers to the other side. Now you can do this, it doesn't matter if you pick the left or the right. In this case, because I already have my variables on my right hand side, I'm going to pick my right hand side for my variables. So I'm going to go ahead and move what I have to the other side, and to do that I have to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to add 6a, I'm going to subtract 5a, and then I'm going to simplify all my terms on my right hand side by adding the coefficient. So 3 minus 5 is going to give me a -2a, plus 6 is going to give me a +4a, minus 5a is going to give me a -1a. Now in this side I only have a -7 left, so my equation is -7 equals -a. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get rid of that -1a by dividing this by a -1. When I do that, -1 divided by -1 is going to give me a +1, and now I have a positive variable to solve for. On the other side, that changes. -7 divided by -1 is going to be a +7. So the first step of checking your answer is plugging in 7 for all the instances where you see a. And then we're going to simplify by doing our multiplication or any kind of division that is happening first, and then adding or subtracting. Now that we know that we solved this correctly and that this indeed is the solution set, we want to go ahead and start by graphing first. Our solution set in here is 7 in words. Now let's go ahead and do the second to last one. The first thing that I'm going to notice in here when I'm trying to move my variables to one side and my numbers to the other in order to solve for x and get the solution set for this equation, I notice that my variable, it's also in the denominator, which makes it really, really hard to solve this. So what I want to do is I want to take it out of the denominator. So if we recognize that this left-hand side essentially is x over 1 times 1 over x plus 2, then we can go ahead and separate this one fraction into 2 different terms. Now after you do that, I want to move this x plus 2 to my numerator, and the only way to do that is by multiplying by the reciprocal. So if I multiply x plus 2 over 1 to each side. Then x plus 2 divided by x plus 2 is going to equal up to 1. And I don't have to worry about that in the denominator anymore. And then I can go ahead and use the distributive property here to simplify that even further. So we have 4x plus 8. And then in this side, I have 1 divided by 1, which is 1, and then all I have is that x. So I have x equals 4x plus 8. Now I do want to move my variables to one side, and the reason I'm picking my right-hand side is because I can tell right now if I move my 4x to the other side, I'm going to have to move it by subtracting it, which is going to give me a negative 3 on this left-hand side, and I don't want to deal with negative numbers. So I'm just going to make it easy for myself and move this x to the other side and this 8 to the other side. So I'm going to subtract my 8 from here. That's going to give me negative 8 plus x equals 4x. And then I'm going to move my x to the right, and that's going to give me negative 8 equals 3x. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide the 3x by 3 so that I have a 1 there, and x is going to be equal to negative 8